Hi all, this is Vanessa Love and this is my channel about the mental health field and related topics. Alright, I think sometimes I just want to change the name of this channel to The Utterly Stupid Therapist or something like that. Just the idiotic therapist or something, because just of the way that people try to kind of one up. It's very interesting and yeah, just interesting to observe and watch. Like, I'm so much smarter than you. All right, well, have your prize, I guess. You won the internet. Good luck. Have a great day. Anyway, what I wanted to talk today about is miracle cures. I think that a lot of TV shows that are very popular about kind of the healing journey make it seem like the healing journey is just one instance and then you're just fantastic. It's wonderful. Everything's done. You're cured. And I think a lot of people kind of get this odd idea about what to really expect in therapy. And so I wanted to talk about two people, two shows. So Dr. Phil and the Long Island Medium. So Dr. Phil, he, I've known people and ex-clients who want to go on the Dr. Phil show and they want to kind of have that cure, that answer, that this is gonna be done, you got it, you're good. And I think that it is kind of this stage magic type of thing, because it's just they focus on one issue, it's just the one issue, and then it's okay, so you might bring up something that's seems completely irrelevant, they kind of bring it together, and then it's okay, you're done. All right, all solved. And it does give kind of this false impression because, to my understanding, there is this very long, elaborate application process where you have to list out 10 of your, I don't know, best moments or just memorable moments in your life, and just really a full history and things like that. And I'm yeah, if I had a full book on each of my clients who came through the door, it would be really easy to look through, read through, have some patterns pop out at me and talk about it. But it is about developing the relationship. It is not about having a one-off and then just oh yeah, we got to it. We just talked about it and here's what you need. And I think that kind of gives this false expectation that therapists, one, know everything and that all you need to do is say a couple of words and we have it. We got it. That's okay. And then also that therapy can be kind of a one-shot deal, which is, it's not. As I was writing out, some of the highlights that I wanted to bring up for this, I started thinking of one of my clients, and I'm just okay, so we might start with one thing that's going on, but there's 10 other things that it's oh yes, I do need to, let me talk about this thing. Let's talk about this thing and let's work through that. And so it's not just I get to help someone fix a resume and, try and apply for a job. It's yeah, I might be able to help someone kind of look over their resume, see what's kind of trending as far as resumes go, because apparently that changes every year, which I didn't know until I had my internship about that. And then kind of not only that, and not only preparing someone for a job interview, but also dealing with test anxiety if they have to take a test to get to that certain place in that job, or if they want to go further in their education, and maybe helping them decide if they want to go further in their education. And I'm what else? Having better relationships with their friends. It's kind of this whole thing where it's okay, but if I were going to do a one-shot deal, it'd probably be let's work on anxiety, let's get you ready for your interview. Okay, done. We're out. And then never really delving into any of the other things that might come up, that other stressors, other things, that could be an issue. And I think that it does, Dr. Phil makes it seem like there's only one way to do therapy, and that it's very much what they call prescriptive, where it's like, this is the issue, this is what you do. This is the issue, this is what you do. And I read briefly through one of the workbooks that I just happened to have from Dr. Phil from many years ago. And there are a lot of things in there that I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I see how people, like, how he kind of thinks and what this is about. Yeah, it was really interesting because I read the back of it and I was trying to figure out who his audience for this book was. And I couldn't really find anything. It was like, we could solve all of your problems. And yeah, I also just kind of want to make a side note and say that, like, Dr. Phil is really into money. He does a lot of things for money. And I don't think that he really cares about the consequences of that. And, you know, I think that there are people in this field who definitely do those type of things. They get into the field because they want money and they figure that this isn't maybe an easy way. After 6 years in school, like 2 more years after that for like to get your license, and like paying a bunch of money for your CEUs, your malpractice insurance, your license renewal every year, like that somehow that's the easy money. I mean, I guess you could go the life coach way and not have to do any of that, but you know, I know some people who are in it for money that way as well. So yeah, it is a very, I don't think that he always cares about what he is saying or what he is doing. I used to watch the Dr. Phil show, and I remember distinctly that there is a episode early on, like I want to say like 2003, 2005, somewhere in there, where he and Robin sit down and they just talk about this Sony camcorder. For, like, right before Christmas, they just sit down and they're like, and if you get this camcorder, like, they really did this. They did an advertisement for Sony outside. Like, it wasn't like, oh, Sony just happened to have like a, you know, an advertisement while like on like in the middle of them having a show. No, it was like a sponsorship. They sat down and were like, we love this for our family. This is how we do this. It was weird. And it was weird to see that because it was like a daytime TV show, and it just didn't seem like that was like something that people did. You know, now with like YouTube videos, of course, like, you know, hey, let's talk about our sponsors, right? But like this, again, was weird. It really wasn't like a thing back then. And that's how I know, like, I always keep that in mind. And if you like look into the history of Dr. Phil, you know that there was a couple of failed like business ventures that were clearly about him getting money and then leaving. Because I think that there was something in like maybe Louisiana or something, and I want to say like a pool company or like a hot tub company, and he was just like, all right, I'm out, I'm done, going to Texas now. So there are some things that he is just really after money, and it is one of those things where, like, yeah, a lot of therapists don't like him, a lot of mainstream, just regular people don't like him. He's an easy figure to dislike, but there are like actual reasons why people like don't like him. And yeah, that's definitely one of those things. And yeah, the book I don't feel like had any real direction. I looked at a couple of like different things that it was asking about. This is a life strategies workbook. One of the things that I was like, I don't want to do this with my clients. Like, I don't know any client who this would be appropriate for. Was that he asked specifically about what you hated about your parents, which I'm like, ooh, see, that's not where I'd go with that. I would probably ask someone what things had happened that they didn't like. There is nothing that I'm like, let's encourage people to hate their parents. Like, that's definitely something that I'm like, well, you know, there are people who definitely have the right to be very angry at their parents and resentful of their parents. And, you know, yeah, that maybe they use the word hate, but I'm like, oh yeah, I would probably change that up so that it's not like I hate this person, because I don't know, there's something with that I'm like, that doesn't feel comfortable. Let's focus on behaviors, not just an emotion. So yeah, there's that. Then I've been watching recently some of the older episodes of the Long Island Medium, and you know, they it is one of those things where it's like, oh, she talked to them for like 2 minutes, and then, like, you know, they had this big revelation and it was wonderful, and then they followed up with some people and it was great and wonderful, and oh my god, they just got through this. And what I really hear in most of the stories that, you know, like of people who come to her, is this traumatic grief, and grief that just goes on for years and years and years. And I'm really glad that a lot of people do have that moment where they're like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I also, and like that they get some like answers to the, like, their questions, especially if they were like, oh my God, you know, the last thing that I said was terrible to whomever, and like now I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to move on. And I think that that is great that they have like peace of mind. I still think as a therapist that some of the people really do like have some sort of traumatic grief, destructive grief, that maybe they still want to process, not just like kind of feel like, oh, okay, well, I got this answer and now I feel fine. Because in life, there are just some things that are unknown. And so, like, trying to kind of get people to really acknowledge and deal with the unknown and start to feel comfortable moving on. You know, I think that there is a lot to that, and I think therapy can help with that. Again, I'm not saying that like, oh, Long Island Medium can't do anything, but I'm just like, that is a really great aspect of that. But I would still like to, you know, really encourage people who are experiencing something like that to seek out grief counseling, you know, grief therapists. There are like grief groups, and you know, I know that some of them are faith-based, and so if that person does have a faith, you know, kind of finding those ways to really get to a point where they feel comfortable without having to have direct answers. I did know someone at one point who was looking for something. They were looking for answers to something, and they didn't really have anything that was like a direct question. I think it was kind of like one of those why am I like this kind of moments. And I know that they had their appointments with the Long Island Medium. They're like, it's 2 years away. I can't wait, you know, and it was just such an interesting kind of experience. And I've had this with a couple of other like friends too, where they are looking for psychics to give them direct answers, that prescription, right? That here's what you do because this is the issue. And I have seen a lot of my friends, like, I shouldn't say a lot, I've seen a couple of my friends really taking advantage of by psychics who are out for money, unfortunately. And there was one friend, I mean, she said she spent thousands on a psychic and just really didn't feel like she had any answers. And that's the type of stuff that I'm like, please invest that, put that into yourself, put that into therapy. And it's not that my friends aren't knowledgeable about these things, you know, like they have not, I mean, I'm not the only therapy friend that they have other friends who are therapists who could also, you know, have kind of helped with decision making and with, again, like feeling comfortable with the unknown, because unfortunately in life, that's what happens sometimes. So yeah, just looking for something. And I don't know if the Long Island Medium or any psychic can really like tell you something that you don't really know about yourself. They might be able to help you get through, which also therapy can, also life coaching can, group therapy, you know, the 12-step groups, some of them, you know, like whichever one you feel most comfortable with, go with that. And really try to, you know, get through. Like there is something, there has to be something, right? That other than giving someone thousands, hundreds, you know, yeah, I have to answer this. Anyway, to get through. And I hope this was helpful, and I will talk with you guys soon. Thanks.